My name is Arabella Gutchess. I'm in 11th grade and I attend Miami Country Day School.
Nice, thank you. So what happened that made you realize that you needed our service?
I was getting really bad scores on the math portion of the SAT. Like I got like 400s or in the 500s, and that I did not want to get that on the actual SAT. So I needed something to get better at math.
This was, yeah, so that was on the PSAT, right?
Yeah.
So like what, like 10th grade PSAT?
Yeah, 10th grade PSAT, I didn't do too well. And it's just I would like I remember on the PSAT, I would look at all the math questions and I would know like maybe like 8 out of all of them. Like no, I would just be skipping a bunch of them because I just had no clue how to do any of them.
And why do you think that was the case?
I don't know. I guess I just never really learned how to do those specific problems, and maybe when I did, it was like lower level math, so I didn't remember it.
What math class were you in at the time?
Honors pre-calc.
So would you say that you were math was something you were good at or not really?
Yeah, I'm normally a really strong student in math, so that's why I was confused why I wasn't doing well on the SAT math.
Got it. And then, the reason why you thought you did poorly, right? Like the reason you thought you didn't do as well as you should have, from what I heard here, had something to do with that it seemed like a lot of the problems were something that you learned a long time ago, or did I miss
And
something?
maybe that I just never learned. Like some I didn't remember ever learning how to do any of those, but there was some that I was like, oh, I kind of remember this, but I don't remember exactly how to do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, to remember what you learned, you took algebra one in like seventh grade.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like 30% of the test. There you go.
yeah, exactly.
Geometry, you took an 8, that's 10. And everyone sucks at geometry anyways. And
Yeah,
then, like there's always like the crazy hard ones.
yeah.
Um,
I was not good at geometry in 8th grade.
okay. Nice. And maybe you hadn't taken stats yet.
No, I'm taking AP calculus right now, and next year I'm going to take stats.
Okay, there you go. So it was all the stuff. It's basically what you're saying. There was stuff that you maybe learned a long time ago, or you never saw because you haven't even seen stats yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then how'd you end up hearing about us?
Well, people in my school were talking about you guys, and I saw some girl that I followed posted you on her Instagram. And I had tried a couple of tutors before, and they just were not good at all. Like they would just like I would do a practice test, and then they would be like they would go over which questions I got wrong and why I got them wrong, but like it wasn't an in-depth thing on like the actual question. It was just like, oh, this is how you do it, and that's it. And they wouldn't help me with any other kind of question like that. So I was like, I didn't really give much thought to it. I'm like, oh, I have to improve my scores. I'm just gonna try this and I looked at your Instagram and it seemed like everyone improved a lot who took your course.
Well, sorry, I want to interrupt. There was a specific girl that you spoke with that she like got a really good grade on the SAT because she
Yeah, I don't know what she got on the SAT, but I remember she said that you guys were like helped a lot.
Okay, so you saw the Instagram, but then also verified with a friend
Yeah,
or an acquaintance, and they were like, "Yeah, go for it."
yeah, exactly.
And so you said you had tried like another service before. Like, how would you say what we did was like? How was it different than what you did with them?
Well, you guys didn't go through like we would take practice tests, but you focused on different topics, and that helped so much because then I knew how to do like because not all the problems are the same. Yeah, like they can be from the same topic on different tests, but it's kind of like different kinds of problems. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, like from the other tutor, he taught me like just this is how you solve this problem, and then he doesn't talk about it anymore. But then a similar problem comes up, but I don't know how to solve it because it's not the exact same. But you guys gave us like all different kinds of problems from the same topic, so we knew how to be prepared for everything.
Nice. Did you feel like that was the most helpful thing from the prep for you?
Yeah, and also the consistency and amount that I practiced. Like it was definitely the amount that because it was so much. It was really intense. So that definitely got me good at
So,
doing.
all right. On that note, so is that how you would describe our service to another student, or is there, maybe anything else they should know? Like, how would you describe it?
I would describe it to be really helpful, but a lot of work too. And I don't know if a lot of students want to put in that amount of work, but if you want to get a good score, then you have to.
Facts. There's no. See, I tell people there's no magic.
It's just practice.
It's like we definitely help. Like, we'll help you, give you the structure, we give you the game plan, we make sure you're studying the right stuff, but we're not going to do it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
That's what
Yeah.
I was saying earlier, that I appreciate your work ethic, because you are correct. Most people aren't down to do work in general,
Yeah.
and even less so how much you put in. So once again, congrats. That was you're an excellent student, and keep that up. And I'm sure any school will be happy to will make a good decision to take.
Thank you.
Also, so before you even signed up, though, having been that, like, you didn't really hear, because, like, some people sign up because they've heard about us from like 4 friends, whatever. Like, you saw it on Instagram, and you heard about, you saw the big score improvements, whatever, and you talked to this one friend and they said it was cool. But coming into it, what was your expectation of the virtual group learning environment?
I don't know. Normally I don't learn well in virtual learning because in 8th grade we did online school for a few months and it was actually a joke. Like no one learned anything and the teachers didn't even know how to use Zoom. So I didn't have super high expectations for like, I don't know. I just have never done a course like that before, but I learned like exactly like if it was in class, like face to face. So the online part didn't have any negative effects.
I wanna interrupt there quickly because you also did 2 other online courses prior to you did the Duke one that you did for
But that's totally different.
right. But what I was trying to say is is that it's a lot more dynamic. That what you guys do in your online classes is like there's no time for falling asleep. You guys are like, and I know because even though I wasn't the one doing the class, Arabella always do her classes in the kitchen, so we would have to deal with 5 hours of piece of pie every morning on a Sunday. So I remember listening, and it's very agile. The energy.
I think is yeah, it's like very like interactive, and all the teachers make sure that everyone's paying attention. If not, they call you out.
And that girl that she was amazing. Her name Corey is unbelievable. I don't know if it would have been the same with anybody else.
Well, I mean, I had her for the first time I did the course.
Yeah.
And the second I had her for a few classes, but she's awesome. Like she definitely kept everyone engaged.
Yeah, she's the most experienced, I think, in general. I mean, they all have a lot of experience, but she teaches like every class,
And they make it fun, like she's doing the class, but at the same time she's like, oh, I went and I had a hot dog and then I put like she like makes it like real because 5 hours of that,
she talks about like other stuff too, which makes it interesting.
Which I think is good because 5 hours of the same, they will go nuts. But she has a very good balance between the class and the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll talk about like her chickens or I don't know.
Yeah.
The culture that she did during COVID.
Yeah. And how she like went and bought a goat and was on like some motorcycle, and then she couldn't.
You were in that class, or did she just tell every class? You gotta ask her. That's awesome. Take us back a second. Oh, 2 things. One, it's always funny how somehow my classes always become like 5 or 6 hours. Like whenever like the student or the parent, they're like, yeah, who can handle 7 hours? I'm like, yo, it's 4. Like somehow it like gets like. So I was gonna ask you, hey, it is long. Is your mom would just listen to me talk for so long? She's like, it's been the whole day. Like, or
it felt like 5 to 6 hours to me. So it was 9 to 1, right?
How'd you manage that? I mean, I'm not saying it's easy.
It was so hard. I did it on Sundays the first time because it was during the school year and I didn't want my Saturdays to be ruined. And Sundays are normally like at home, like on Saturdays I want to hang out with my friends and stuff. But during the summer I did it on Wednesdays because I had an internship, so I was working all the other days, so I had to do a Wednesday. And I was in Colorado, so there was a 2-hour time difference, so I would have to wake up 2 hours earlier.
Okay, that's different.
And actually that helped because I would end at 11:30 and it was so much better and I would have more of the day.
Mm-hmm.
What about the workload? So you said it was a lot. How'd you manage? And you know what's cool? Hold on, before you answer that. I want to know how you manage, but I also want to know the difference in how you managed it when you were in school and you were in the summer. And like maybe tell me at the end which one you recommend the most.
Well, in school, I was more in like a working mode. So like I would, in my free periods in school, I would do it. And I mean, I didn't have any struggle completing the work, but I had barely any free time when I did it because I would have a bunch of like honors and AP classes and this, and there's a lot of homework and everything. So I would have a lot to do. And like I probably couldn't hang out with my friends as much because since Sunday I was doing this, Saturdays I would do schoolwork. But I mean, it wasn't bad. Like I would split it up. I wouldn't do everything in one day. I would do like 3 per day or 2 assignments per day. And then I would get it done on time. And then in the summer, it was much easier because then I had the whole day to do it. So I would do like 6 in one day and then 6 in the other day, and then I would just be done for the week, and then I could do other stuff.
It was the opposite. You crammed in the summer.
Yeah.
Get it over with. Damn, nice.
Yeah.
Which one did you prefer?
The summer. I feel like I learned so much more in the summer because I did the course again because I felt like I needed to get better. But after the first 3 weeks in the summer, I was getting like 750s on some of the practice tests.
Do you feel like taking it the second time was worth it?
Definitely. That's what got me into the 700s. Because before, I don't think I was in the 700s. I was like 650, 660. Like it definitely got me up from 500, but I wanted to be in the 700s.
And what do you think it about, like, I guess the second time that allowed you to do that?
I just feel like I've already like seen the information and the concepts. And so just going over it again and doing the course again really got it like in my brain this time.
Yeah, the second time. The first time you had never seen it or whatever. And the second time you're like, oh, I've seen it. And then you just can focus more of your brain power maybe on like the tougher ones.
Yeah, exactly. The harder ones, definitely.
Cool. All right, awesome. Ultimately, what result did we help you get? What was your final score and the total improvement?
I don't know what I started with, honestly. I remember it was like either 400s or 500s. And then I ended with a 730 so far, but it's going to keep going up.
So at least 200 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll end up being like 300 by the time you're done.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? You got to manifest.
Yeah.
No, it happened. That actually happened recently. It's happened a few times where I'll get like a text from a student from 6 months ago. And they're like, hey, just want to let you know, I just kept taking it and it just kept going up. And I was like, okay, I like to hear that, so definitely keep taking the practice test though.
Yeah.
You have to maintain that.
How many times per week do you think she should take the practice test for an ideal practice for the improvement?
She needs to just keep it fresh, right?
I do 2 full ones a week, including the reading.
That's good. Getting closer to your test, you're going for both, so it's harder to do another one, but maybe I would do a third one. I don't know. It's a lot, but
yeah,
you definitely want to just, as you approach test time, to just increase exposure. It's just exposure. This is like because like every problem you do, it's not, one of the things I try to teach people is the reason we give you so many problems is not necessarily that problem's going to show up, because the reality is probably not, right? But every problem, especially the difficult ones, has like a bunch of steps within the problem, right? And so you might not get that exact problem, but you're gonna get another problem that, like, one of the steps in this problem, right? Whatever you have to do for that step is like a skill or a step that you're gonna need for the other problem.
Yeah.
So when you see a bunch, you see all of these different like procedures or like approaches that you learn these approaches, you learn these techniques, you learn these different stuff that you can then apply to like a new problem. And that's true mastery. It's like you've done so many problems. That, of course, not only do you memorize like the concepts, like you memorize like what an exponential function is really well from doing so many, or a quadratic, but also just you start learning a different math techniques. And that's only something you're going to get with just like a lot of exposure. So it's really the more the better. There's no secret number. The more the better. I don't know. And you took a lot of tests though. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I took a lot.
Ironically, there was 2 students. They were like, yeah, I didn't really take any more practice tests. All I did was look at the study guide the day before the test. It's happened twice, and they went up like another 80 points or something. Some ridiculous. And I was like, you didn't do anything? Like, no, I just like went through like the study guide that you guys give us. A lot of people ignore it.
I should look at that.
Probably should. It has all the things. It just has all the formulas. So like sometimes it's like a memory thing, and you just need to jog your memory quick.
Yeah.
I'd probably recommend that like the day before, because there's just so many little things, and a lot of it is just you just need to have it like on the tip of your memory. But yeah,
there was one problem on the last SAT that I'd seen it like a similar one so many times. It was one where it's like a square inscribed in a circle. Like
Mhm.
you had a problem, and I forget exactly what it was, but yeah, I must have got that wrong because I didn't know how to do it.
They always do that. I know it's crazy. They add like one step. It's like super like random, and you're like, but yeah, no. I made more problems on that. Anyways, when do you take your next one?
November 4th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing December too?
Yes. Hopefully I can get a 1500 by December.
Let me know before December. Maybe I can hook you up with some new stuff. If I think by then I can have some stuff. That'll be good.
Yeah, that would be great.
So what has this result meant for you or enabled you to do?
Well, it's even with the 1430 that I got, I can still apply to college with that, like good colleges with that score because I'm in the 98th percentile. So before I was getting like not even close to a 1430. And even though I still want to go up, like at least now I have a score that I can show my colleges.
Cool, cool, cool. Hopefully, fingers crossed for Cornell.
Did you like Cornell?
Yes and no.
Why not?
Why not? Culture shock that I wasn't ready for, but eventually I adjusted. Workload shock that I wasn't ready for. And I adjusted. Like coming from Miami, and I got away with a lot in high school, just like not studying. I did well in all my classes, but not really studying like that hard. When I got there, I was like, oh wow, I'm on another level. So it was real tough. It was the adjustment for me. The hardest part was the adjustment. It was just realizing that I just didn't have the work ethic required to like excel. And then that got in the way of everything, you know. And I was trying to do engineering, so then at that point, then your work-life balance is gone. Which even if you have the right work ethic, going there, you're depending on what you study, you're probably not going to have the most balanced life. And maybe you're used to that. I don't know. And nowadays, I see you guys studying like crazy. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe you'll be okay. Maybe it's like, oh, nothing new. But basically, if you do engineering or pre-med, you'll have like time one, and you want to do well, unless you're like a complete genius, you're only gonna have time to hang out like once a week, realistically, and like go get a dinner. But it gets hard because it's college.
Yeah.
It's the Cornell's like, even though it's like it's supposed to be like more rigorous and everyone there is more focused, it's still college and people want to like hang out and blah blah blah. So then that interferes with your ability to study, and then you got to make hard decisions. But once you get into a rhythm academically, it's great. I mean, they have the best professors and top professors in their field. Great connections. I mean, I met my best friends from there. Like until this day, we still hang out, and it was like a perfect blend of, them growing up similar to how I did, but also having, you go through college like that together. And then, I don't know, it's just like the friends that I had back home are just like, it's like a different level of friendship, like you have less to relate to, you kind of grow out of that. And then these friends that I met there, we have a lot more in common now, and it's just different. So a lot of good things. Just be ready to work and be cold. But anyways, do you have any advice for students?
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend this course to anyone because it helps a lot, but anyone who's willing to put in the workload. Because I mean, most of my friends would never, ever do something like this.
Good. It's okay. We don't have to tell them about it. It's okay.
Some of the moms would like think that I was making her do the class, and they would like make me look like, oh, you're so mean. The poor Arabella doesn't have any Sundays available. She can't do sleepovers on Saturday. I'm like, it's not my choice. She decides. She's the one that has all the drive, and I'm just providing.
Yeah, but for future students, I would definitely tell them like, if you do this course, you're gonna improve a lot, and it's gonna make your SAT score a lot better. I'm so glad that I did the course.
Mentality those are the students that are a good fit. So
yeah,
you happen to randomly have a friend like that. If you don't, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't, just you scare them away. Actually, that's what I told my friend. When you tell your friends about this, you actually try to scare them, and then if they're still down, then they can do it.
Yeah, and also, I'm friends with this girl Gianna, and I know you guys know her too. But she did the course and she also loved it. So I haven't heard any negative. And same with I have a friend Natalia Beltran who did the course. and Annabelle did the course, and everyone who I know loved it.
Great news. We'll keep doing what we're doing then.
What's gonna happen when now that it's gonna be online? How are you guys gonna like change your teaching so that the kids that are coming for the next level, for the next type of exam?
Great question. So because they already released practice exams, right? And we've taken a look at those already. And from what I've seen, the good news is that what's tested hasn't changed on the math. The reading looks really different.
Yeah, it is.
Like crazy. If you took the PSAT, you know.
Yeah, it was but I like it better because it's not super long passages. And
a lot of people say that. And so we'll have to see how that plays out. Because at the end of the day, it's still standardized. But the one benefit I think that might benefit some students more than the others is that apparently it's easier to finish.
Yeah, it's like an hour less.
But it's less time, but it's also just literally, I think, shorter so that it's supposed to be easier for you to literally finish it. Like you're supposed to have less of a time constraint. I don't know if that's true.
Like for me on the reading, I never finish on time regularly, but in the PSAT, I finished with 20 minutes left on the reading.
I think there's going to be specific students who benefit a lot from that if they're just students who the only reason why they weren't scoring higher was because of the time. Which that's a thing, like at the end of the day, if they put too much of a time constraint, then you're no longer testing their knowledge. You're now testing their ability to work under pressure.
Yeah.
Which
that's what I feel for the reading, because I can't finish the reading on time. So I just work fast.
And like arguably being able to do something under time constraint doesn't necessarily translate into you succeeding at a school, or that was their whole logic. And then that's why they changed it. So I think it'll be a net positive, especially with the reading. And I also think the math will be like the questions were identical. The big difference is there's a calculator the whole time, which technically I know how to solve them all with the calculator, which that's a weird, I was like, interesting. Okay. The students don't, but I do. And I'm like, I know College Board knows about this. And so I'm curious if they just thought that the student wouldn't be able to learn it. It's not like you can just like do it quick on the calculator, but there's ways to solve it, and you still have to know the math to know how to use it on the calculator, but still. So that was interesting that you can use a calculator for everything. And then obviously because of that, the numbers are bigger maybe, and there's certain little things like that. But to be honest, every problem that I looked on there, I was like, yeah, we go over this for the most part.
Yeah.
How'd you feel?
There were some that I had never seen before. There was like 3 problems that I was like, oh, I've never seen something like this.
Right. And which, I mean, that can happen on any test.
Yeah, true.
The harder ones. But then the other thing that I noticed on the digital is something they're more lenient on the grading, is that the grading is different, right? Whereas like in the paper one, for the most part, if you get like one wrong, you probably don't have an 800. On the digital one that I took, I actually got 2 wrong. Like I was asleep and I got 2 and I got an 800.
Really?
It's just because the grading is different, and it's like not everyone gets the same second part. Right? It's like depending on how you do on the first part, the second one can either be harder or easier. And they just have their own system where it's like if you get like one wrong in the easy ones, like it actually might weigh different than getting like a hard one wrong. Or like me and my friend, we both got like the same wrong and we got different scores. So it is different. And so yeah, there might be like more hard problems, which means that there's more likely to be a chance of there being problems that you've like never seen before. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it'll just even out and be fine. Like we just had a kid actually who he's an international student. They're already doing the digital. He did 3 weeks of our prep course, and he decided like he wanted to take one of the tests early, Yeah. Ended up going from a 680 to a 750, and he dropped out of the prep course. He's like, I'm good. Thanks, guys.
Oh my God.
Like the best, it was like the best dropout, I was like, nice. I'm glad, bro. And he took the digital test. So, and he told me, he's like, nah, man, yeah, it was like the same thing. So I'm not worried. All right. Thank you guys. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. Well, have a good night. Keep me posted. And before the December test, let me know and I'll see what I got.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your help.